Hello, today we are talking to Ella Love, the author of The ABCs of Investing. Ella Love seems to have achieved everything through modeling and traveling. Her passion for life has never wavered. Her love for dancing, modeling, and traveling reflects the passions Ella exudes. Born and raised in Los Angeles, she is a typical LA native where love for good music is simply part of daily living. Whatever she does, her originality comes through. Although she has already established her love for traveling, working with Telemundo, and competing in international beauty pageants, seems to have propelled her desire to discover more of the world and different people and cultures. Having recently appeared on the cover of Playboy, Ella Love wants to dismantle any preconceived notions of what a woman is or should be. Because she's a doer, Ella wants everyone to feel driven and to consistently strive to improve themselves. Despite all that, she's accomplished creating this book, and in her opinion, has been one of the greatest achievements for her thus far. Helping others and giving back to her community are the utmost important to her. She wants for the reader to possess the motivation to chase after their dreams and never let anything stop them. So welcome, Ella.
Thank you. Thank you for that warm welcome.
So let's talk about this book. We were talking before we got started about how there's a huge gap in the market around knowledge of finances and investing and all that kind of stuff. So let's start with kind of what's the biggest impact a reader will get from reading this book?
I think they'll gain the foundational knowledge of the stock market. There's no really a tool out there that makes you feel competent enough to understand how to move forward with the beginning process of how to invest, which is the basic foundation of what you need to grasp and learn in order for you to build your own formula for investing. So, in order to do that, you need to learn the basic concepts. And so, with my book, I broke down those interesting, complex concepts without
Mm-hmm.
making you feel any other way besides learning.
Yeah.
So, I think this would be a great tool that there's definite need for that people would really like to utilize.
Awesome. Yeah, and you're right. That's a huge issue. People are talking to a financial advisor or someone pitching products at them, and they're using all these words, and you feel dumb, so you don't want to ask any questions. So it's like,
Right.
okay, well, I guess I'll just get it because I don't want to miss out on whatever the
Right.
heck this thing is.
I know sometimes I do it on purpose, but sometimes I use big words with people and they just give me a blank stare. And I'm just like, do you even know what I meant? Like
Yep.
what I said? Do you even know what that meant? And they're like, no. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why don't you say it? Like, so I've always never had a problem with speaking out and I've always been very vocal about things. So when I was learning about, because I'm self-taught about the stock market, it was just horrendous experience. I had to look up a word, to look up a word, to look up a word to try to figure out one word. And it was horrible. It was like a 3 hour process just to find out and just to decipher one word in order for me to understand it.
Yeah.
So I just thought, you know what, there's no way this could be any easier. And it was it
Yep.
wasn't easy. So I just kind of went on this journey and I started taking notes. And one day I had enough themes, I guess you could say, because I was like, okay, what does this mean? Or what does market cap mean? Or what's an S&P 500? Because I would always hear it, growing up, but
Mm-hmm.
I've never really, I'm like, oh, that's the S&P 500. I don't know what that means. Like,
Yep.
yeah, like it was a blank stare for me. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what a blue chip is, but yeah, okay. So once I started defining all these terms that I didn't really know about, I looked down and I'm like, you know what? I think I should publish this. And
Mm.
that's exactly what I did. And it was very hard.
I love it. And so who would you say this book is for? Who should buy this book?
It's for anybody who wants to read and learn a new concept. It's for anybody who is interested in finance, who wants to grow. It's anybody who wants to be challenged in that sector. Because I know that I've spoken to so many people that want to learn about the stock market, but they don't even know where to begin. And they're like, oh, well, tell me about it. And I'm like, well, tell you about what? I'm like, you have to give me a starting point. So I think this would be an amazing starting point where it'll be feasible for people to understand without feeling overwhelmed.
Mm.
And yeah, absolutely. So I know I was overwhelmed when I was learning the whole process. So hopefully I get to give the gift of ease and have people grow and be comfortable in that area.
Nice. And I like what you mentioned about, having to search for something, and that led you, it was defined with words you didn't know, and you had to search for those words and search for those words. And so with your book, having everything in one place, it means that when somebody says, hey, yeah, here's this opportunity, you should do it, and you can go into the book and be like, oh, okay, that's what this means. So it's that
Yeah,
quick guess
absolutely.
reference.
Like, yeah, wait, hold on. Let me refer back to that. So,
Mm-hmm.
I know when I was editing the book as well, I felt a little bit overwhelmed with it too. So, because there's just so many concepts at you going at once, but it's when you are learning, I think it's part of the learning curve. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, but once you kind of digest it and you kind of understand and concretize it, then you could spread your wings and just go with
Mm-hmm.
it and create your own investing strategy. That would be obviously the second step.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and that's important because it's in this industry, like any industry that's full of jargon exists to keep people out, to create a barrier to entry. And so if somebody doesn't know the words, you look at them funny and then wait till they leave. And with finance, especially the way our economy is built now, it's no longer an option. You can't say, nah, I'm not going to invest. I'll just keep working. You can't do that. You need to know how to manage the stock market and bonds and mutual
Right.
funds and all those things. And so if you don't do it right, you either stay out of it and miss out, and then you don't have a retirement account, you don't have savings, and you're missing out, or you get in because someone sold you something, and then you might as well have missing out would have been better. So this literacy is really really powerful. So you shared a bit about how you researched this all yourself, but tell us a bit more about yourself. Where'd you come from, and how'd you get to this point?
So,
The short version, not the whole
of
life.
course, of course. So I was, like you said in my introduction, I'm born and raised in LA. So how I got to this point was, during the pandemic, everything was closed.
Mm-hmm.
So I took it upon myself to kind of learn a new concept that I had all the time in the world. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't go. The only thing I could go was the grocery store. So it was a height of the pandemic. So I
Uh-huh.
couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't go to the restaurants. I couldn't travel. I literally couldn't go anywhere. So I was at a point where I was really stuck in the house and I was sick and tired of watching Netflix. So it was, I think, just the perfect time to tackle such a overwhelming concept. So it gave me the opportunity and, the patience
Mm-hmm.
because it was not an easy task to kind of go for. But it gave me the perseverance to do it because I did have all the time. So it was very circumstantial that this happened. And I took advantage of all those moving parts. And that's what mostly inspired me to do this. And I do love to challenge myself. So this was quite the challenge.
So were you investing before the pandemic, or was it something you've never really been able to
No,
get into and finally had the time?
right. So I know that there is a birth of, Bitcoin explosion and then Robinhood.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of curiosity around that. And unfortunately, I feel that in today's society, everybody just wants quick, reliable information,
Mm-hmm.
but there's nothing that is is synonymous with quick and reliable. I think you really have to do your own due diligence and research and move forward from there. But with TikTok and Instagram, everything's instant, but we don't really verify if that information is actually accurate. So you're just going by hearsay or TikTok news or Instagram news, and that's not really always accurate. So I took a deep dive into the researching portion of it, and it gave me such great confidence to move forward in that industry and sector.
And so what surprised you most in the writing process?
I think how much research was involved, because I'm like, oh, I got a publisher and it's going to be easy from there. No, it was not easy. I think that was a false pretense I put in my head that it was going to be easy. So it took a lot of research. I had to read a lot of finance books. Some were very dry. But I mean, with that opportunity, I was able to learn a lot. It was from Benjamin Graham, the forefather of investing. He actually, taught Warren Buffett all that he knows. So even Warren Buffett still, does research and reads. So that's what people don't really understand. In order to be great in what you do, you have to keep learning. And you can't really just take information lightly. You have to take it with a grain of salt and cross-verify and fact-check. And so that's just our society now. They don't want to do the work. They just want quick. And that's just not how anything works.
Well, although I think your book is providing that in this space, as you're scrolling through it as you're talking there, and you're totally right. A lot of these finance books, they're dry and they go into page after page of explanations and graphs and charts and formulas and for example, I'm looking at your chapter on capital gain, which is half a page long. And capital gain described, if I could read the entire chapter, says by definition, when you sell an asset for 1 year to be paid for, short-term capital gain. When you sell an asset you held for less than 1 year, capital gain tax rate. Long-term capital gains applies to profit from the sale of an asset more than a year. That's it. That's all it is. So if someone's like, what's a capital gain? Like people talk about capital gain tax, and you'll get a capital gain. And your financial advisor mentioned, well, you may incur a capital gain. Like, what the heck? Capital, like Washington? What's happening? You go into this book, that's 3 sentences. It explains what it is. It's not going on for page after page and talking about, well, this and the tax code and the blah, 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 blah. This is what you need to know. What is a capital gain? Oh, you sold it for more than you paid for it. Oh, that's good. Because, wait, why couldn't you just say you sold it more than you paid for it? Exactly. So it's really valuable, and going through the whole book is like that, with these terms explained more than just a simple definition, but not a treatise on the topic, which is what people need. Of course, if they need to go deeper, you've got Google, you've got every financial company in the world has a blog article on what is capital gains and how does it apply and tax codes and whatever. But the average investor doesn't need that. They need your 3, 4, 5 sentences here saying, Oh, that's why you keep saying capital gain. Oh, that's what he's talking about. So I see that being really powerful for people.
Right. And then I do know that the attention span for most people has been shortened. Was it the statistic was 7 seconds or 5 seconds or something of that notion?
What? Oh, sorry, I got distracted.
Yeah, so I think just getting straight to the point, and that's how I am as a person. When I speak to anybody, I just get straight to the point. Like, I'm not beating around the bush. I'm not, putting in filler. Like, just get straight to the point. Like, so I hope this is an amazing tool that people could uncover, because I was trying to find a book like this for me. Because I was just overwhelmed. I'm like, what does this mean? And I found a thesaurus.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I found. And the thesaurus had investment language that I didn't understand. So I still haven't read it, but I still have it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so to talk a bit about the book writing process and all the research that went into it and the public. So the publisher, they helped you with once you had it written,
Right.
actually doing the rest of it, right?
Right. They help with the formatting and organizing, but I mean, the rest of it, that was all for me.
Yep.
I did the research, I put the ideas together, I put the concept, I had the the layout of how I wanted it to feel and the tone of the book. So it was very rewarding because I think it was kind of like a house. You know, you build a house and then you see the final product, and now you get to live in the house. So it was something similar to in those words where I it was something that I was able to build, and I
Mm.
structured it the way I wanted to structure it. And so it was very rewarding to see now, like when I hold it in my hands, I couldn't believe I started with a thought of, you know what, let me publish this, you know, and this is 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's pretty good.
yeah, so 70 pages took me 3 years of research.
Hmm. Yep. Which of course will save people, well, not only save people time, but most people wouldn't do it. They just say, I can't find
Right,
it, and then they don't
right,
invest, they miss out. And so this can
right.
be a really powerful tool
Yeah.
for a lot of people. And what advice would you have for someone just getting started writing the first book? You know, for yourself 3 years ago, what would you tell you?
I think you just have to do it and you just have to keep going and you have to, you know, learn. Just,
Hmm.
you know, there's a lot of people that have amazing ideas, but they don't act on the ideas because of whatever limiting belief that they tell themselves or
Yep.
whatever excuse that they have. So there's so much power in action and just do it. Like whatever you want to do, you just have to do it and don't stop and follow and see it through. So you can't quit mid journey. It defeats the purpose. So once you complete that journey, then you get to really learn a lot about yourself and your growth. And I think a lot of people are hesitant to do new things because it's something that they don't know. It's an area that they don't know, and they have an internal notion that prevents them because they're scared. But it's only a feeling because it's an unknown area of life that they haven't experienced. But in order to grow, you have to be uncomfortable sometimes. So ease into that discomfort and just, you know, see it through the end and act on it. That would be my best advice.
I love it. All right. And so the book is The ABCs of Investing by Ella Love, and it's great for anyone who, you know, needs the ABCs, the basics of investing. Is there anything else you'd like to share? Anything I didn't ask that I should have?
um, no. I think you nailed it. You know, it just gets straight to the point, and it's an amazing tool, and it's I believe an easy read,
Hmm.
but I mean that's up to interpretation to the reader. So
Yeah. Well, and it's not necessarily the kind of book where you sit there and, you know, start at page one and read all the way through. You Someone could do that, or they could use as a reference book, and
right,
simply
right.
as something comes up, they're like, "What's an EFT?" You flip through,
Exactly.
and you know, you mentioned Robinhood. I've been active on that, and there's certainly been times that I'm like, "What the heck is this?" And I just ignore it. I'm like, I'm doing this, but I don't do that. But maybe I'm missing out because I don't have a quick reference thing. So, you know, if you're going through using Robinhood and it talks about options or EFTs or this or that, you pull out the ABCs of investing, open it right up, there it is, and it's a really powerful tool. So that is The ABCs of Investing by Ella Love. Of course, you can find that at writersrepublic.com or on Amazon, I believe. So you can find any of those there. So thank you so much for being on the interview.
Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.